The word anonymous has long been a common one. People use it to describe internet users who do not want to share their data. At the same time, the term anonymous has a more specific meaning. It is the name of the international hacktivist movement, which has become famous for several high-profile and scandalous actions. Today we will remember the most notorious of them. A long time ago, in the internet far, far away, the mores of which were very different from modern ones, there were still places where a little more than usual was allowed. Anonymity allowed users of the 4chan image board to express all opinions without showing their faces or ruining their reputations. And quite often, those opinions differed strongly from the ones accepted in decent society. The website became both the birthplace of popular memes and the source of several mass actions organized by this anonymous forum's participants. Mass raids on other internet resources, trolling of some odious personalities on social networks, and even organized cyber attacks are what 4chan got remembered for in the first half of the 2000s. It was here that Anonymous was born, an international movement of activists, or, as they are also called, hacktivists. It practically does not have a single centralized structure and is somewhat cemented by a common ideology. The latter, however, is also not that definite. Journalists often call Anonymous a hacker group, which is fundamentally wrong. Besides, it is not worth calling a subculture claiming to be an anarchic digital world mind an organization. They may be offended. Ideologically, Anonymous is closer to crypt anarchists than to hackers in the current understanding of the term. These are disparate groups of activists who speak against censorship on the internet. The governments of most countries tensed up at this moment, and for the free distribution of content, corporate managers fidgeted nervously in office chairs. Although the very historical moment of the appearance of Anonymous is now quite complicated to trace reliably, internet archaeologists attribute it to 2003, the external entourage of the movement is well known to everyone. At least, the Guy Fawkes mask with squinted eyes and a thin mustache is another common meme known, perhaps, to absolutely everyone. Guy Fawkes is a real person, one of the participants in the Gunpowder Plot in 1605. He's not the most exciting figure. He is famous, first of all, for having been caught and turned in his accomplices under torture. In his native Britain, he wasn't considered a positive hero for many years. Even now, on November 5th, many English-speaking countries hold Bonfire Night, during which they solemnly burn the effigy of this figure. Guy Fawkes' mask in its modern form appeared thanks to the graphic novel V for Vendetta, published in the 1980s in the USA. The comic book hero, hiding his face behind a mask, opposes the totalitarian government. His identity remains a mystery until the very end. It hints to the reader that anyone could be in his place. Another powerful impulse to popularize the character was the adaptation of the comic book, released in 2006 by the Wachowski siblings, who had previously given the world a magnificent Matrix. The epic V for Vendetta has gained no less popularity among IT specialists than the adventures of Neo and Trinity. The masked man reigned in the minds of contemporaries as an embodiment and symbol of anonymity, pushing the official Anonymous logo in the form of a suit with a question mark, somewhat resembling the UN emblem. Throughout the history of its existence, Anonymous has become famous for many high-profile scandals that have added work to politicians, law enforcement officers, and, of course, journalists. There are too many of them, so let's remember the most ambitious and resonant of them, leaving aside less significant events. Project Chanology. One of the first actions of Anonymous was a campaign against the Church of Scientology in the USA in 2008. An already scandalous organization that constantly popped up in popular culture, in the second part of Fallout and a world art masterpiece South Park, attracted the attention of activists by demanding to remove an interview with Tom Cruise from the network. Seeing this as a form of censorship, Anonymous unleashed their anger on Ron Hubbard's organization, Hacks of Websites, calls for the U.S. government to deprive Scientologists of tax benefits, and street demonstrations worldwide. A distinctive feature of these actions, by the way, were the costumes of the protesters. That's where the Guy Fawkes mask mentioned earlier came in handy. The Church of Scientology has declared itself a victim of religious discrimination and has suffered severe reputation and perhaps financial losses. The Arab Spring. In the 2010s, a wave of protests swept through various states of the Arab world, and the anonymous community did not stand aside. The Egyptian government was probably really surprised when the resources of the Ministry of Information and the ruling National Democratic Party suddenly became public in the country. However, the Syrian government was even more surprised to find a message supporting the uprising on the website of the Ministry of Defense. In Tunisia, the anonymous ones affected the president. After the riots in which hacktivists were involved, the head of state Ben Ali fled to Saudi Arabia. Operation Payback. In the same 2010, in response to another attempt to close the Pirate Bay torrent tracker, Anonymous brought down the websites of the U.S. Copyright Office, the Recording Industry Association of America, and the personal page of Gene Simmons, the bassist of the band Kiss. The latter distinguished himself by comparing pirates with Nazis in an interview. He called on law enforcement officers to hunt them down and confiscate their property. The scandal erupted with renewed vigor when politics intervened. In 2010, Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, got charged with rape. Anonymous saw this as harassment of Assange because of his activities, meaning another manifestation of censorship on the internet. The punishing hand of Anonymous has descended on payment systems that have frozen donations for the WikiLeaks website and the personal accounts of its head. PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, Postfinance Bank, the websites of the Swedish government and the prosecutor's office, and the personal pages of Senator Joe Lieberman and former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin fell in an unequal battle. Furthermore, even the prosecution lawyer suffered. However, it wasn't much help for Assange. The investigation against him stopped only in 2017 after numerous courts and appeals. And he immediately got into a new story. What an active person. Operation Darknet. In October 2011, Anonymous hacked about 40 resources distributing child pornography and leaked user data to the network. Yes, perhaps those were the very people who once made a popular meme about the pedobear. Alas, illegal content websites quickly recovered. Furthermore, the popularity of some of them has even increased due to the Streisand effect. The year 2012. The world remembered the year 2012 for the attack on the European Parliament website after Poland signed a trade agreement to combat counterfeiting. But that's not all. Anonymous also intercepted a teleconference between the FBI and Scotland Yard. The teleconference's content got leaked to the internet together with the personal info of the participants. Interpol responded by arresting activists in Argentina, Spain, Colombia, and Chile. By an incredible coincidence, it was after that the website of the International Criminal Police Organization lay down to rest for half an hour and then worked intermittently for some time. Occasionally, the Catholic Church also has difficulties in relations with its parishioners. Recall at least a case involving the accusation of priests of pedophilia. In response to this, in 2010, unknown attackers decorated posters with the image of Pope Benedict XVI with pedobears. Anonymous could not ignore the Vatican forever, even though they emphasized in their appeal that the action was not directed against the Christian religion and believers but exclusively against the policy of the Catholic Church, which Anonymous considered outdated. As a result of the turbulent activity of Anonymous in March 2012, the official website of the Vatican City was disabled with God's help, twice. In the same year, Anonymous decided to deal with environmental problems and, in protest against oil operations in the Arctic, posted the data of more than 1,000 users of the websites of ExxonMobil, Shell, BP, Gazprom, and Rosneft. Oil production continues, but now corporations are trying to protect their secrets better. Aaron Swartz. Aaron Schwartz is an American programmer, co-founder of Reddit, writer, and hacktivist posthumously honored with the Internet Hall of Fame award. Defending the right to open science and free internet, Aaron illegally, using the local network of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, downloaded more than 4 million articles from the JSTOR database, a paid digital library of academic journals and scientific papers, and planned to post them in the public domain. However, the U.S. prosecutor's office did not share the views of the activist. They charged him with 13 articles. Presumably, Aaron suffered from depression and, unable to withstand the moral pressure, committed suicide on January 11, 2013, while under house arrest in his apartment. The case caused a wide public outcry, including anonymous reaction. They hacked the website of the U.S. Department of Justice, published a message on the main page saying the USA crossed the line, and threatened to post the extracted information online. However, the case didn't get a happy ending. There was no leak, the investigation stalled, and the activists' proposals for amendments to the laws remained just proposals. Operation Israel. Israel's conflict with Palestine attracted the attention of Anonymous in 2013 after Israel threatened to cut off the telecommunications links of the Gaza Strip with the outside world. According to Anonymous, this is where Israel crossed all boundaries. Next, a message appeared on Twitter threatening to erase the country from the internet. On April 7th, hackers attacked 87 websites, including the pages of the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Education, and major Israeli banks. Some of them have become inaccessible, and some had materials in support of Hamas and a handbook for Palestinians with instructions on how to restore communication in case of a telephone outage. Perhaps this is one of the clearest examples of the ideology of Anonymous: fight all you want, but do not touch the internet. Operation Paris. In 2015, a series of terrorist attacks took place in Paris, for which the Islamic State claimed responsibility. A few hours later, a video appeared on the internet where an anonymous in Guy Fawkes mask announced cyber war to terrorists. In response, the Islamic State called the activists idiots. However, they did distribute instructions on the network with tips on how to avoid cyber attacks. For example, do not talk to strangers in messengers and do not open mail from unknown addresses. Islamic State is very vulnerable to attacks on the web. And according to Anonymous, during the activity of the hacktivists, they managed to block about 150 different websites associated with this organization, delete several thousand propaganda videos, and post a list of Twitter users allegedly associated with terrorists or sympathizing with them. Present day. Recently, you can rarely hear about new anonymous promotions. The internet is no longer the same. More and more countries are adopting laws that control the actions of network users. Hacktivists get charged, and fines get imposed. And especially lucky ones receive prison sentences. But one cannot say that Anonymous has disappeared altogether. In 2020, Anonymous hacked the UN website and posted a page about Taiwan on it. After all, the island has not had a representative in this organization since 1971. Donald Trump received the attention of hackers on the topic of a sexual scandal related to him, however, without much result. And the founder of Tesla, Elon Musk, received threats because he influenced the cryptocurrency exchange rate. Musk traditionally responded on his Twitter by saying, "Let's live peacefully." The hacktivists somewhat reacted to the BLM movement. After the death of George Floyd, there were threats posted online against the Minneapolis police regarding their brutality and corruption. The websites of the police department and the mayor's office became the targets. However, the next day the websites operated per usual. In addition, those threats were from private accounts on social networks. Hence, perhaps it had nothing to do with Anonymous at all. The intensification of the fight against cybercrime and protest movements worldwide could not but affect Anonymous. In recent years, high-profile actions of the movement have gradually faded away, and news feeds got filled with reports of incidents related to the activities of various hacker groups. But hackers are not hacktivists. The first pursue commercial goals, while Anonymous fights for freedom, equality, and brotherhood. In other words, it fights for all good against all bad. As they say, the spirit of adventurism has disappeared in us. We have stopped climbing into the windows of the Tunisian presidents. However, Anonymous has not gone anywhere. They continue to appear on the network, communicate in messengers, and show up on social networks. They just lowered their activity and lay low. Perhaps, for the time being.